Hello and welcome back to Don't Just Cook. I'm Robert Steven Munoz and I'm finally back in the kitchen, and this time we are going to make black beans, and we are going to make them from scratch using the recipe that I learned from my Abuela, my grandmother. That's right, she's the one that used to always make the black beans for all the family get-togethers, especially for Christmas Eve, because that's a time where we definitely all eat the black beans. But frijoles negros is something that you could eat anytime. You could eat it with rice, which is the very traditional way. You could use them in wraps, you could use them in chicken, you could have it as a soup, as a side dish, however you like them. Once you make them this way, the flavor is incredible and you can't go wrong. So here's some things that you're going to need. Obviously you need your black beans, some salt. I'm using a black and white pepper blend. We have some bay leaf, oregano, green pepper, onion, garlic. You know that's a must-have. Some good olive oil. And my Abuela's secret ingredient was red wine vinegar. But first things first, we have to soak the beans. And this is something that takes hours, almost overnight is the best way to do it. So let's go ahead and get started to get these beans ready. So we can make some delicious frijoles negros right here on Don't Just Cook. Okay, so first things first, and it's one of the most time-consuming parts of this whole process, and that is soaking your beans. So I have the full bag of beans here with about 6 cups of water. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to the water. And we're just gonna let this sit for about 6 to 8 hours or overnight. So here's where your patience kicks in. And once these beans are soft, we'll be able to start cooking them, and you'll see what I do with the rest of the ingredients. All right? I'll see you tomorrow. Welcome back. So now that our beans have been soaking overnight, they are ready to get to cooking. So before we put them to boil, we're gonna give them one more rinse. Put them in a nice pot of water. We're gonna add about a quarter of this green pepper into the boil of the beans. Now, if you do wanna save some time, you don't have the whole 6 to 8 hours or overnight to let the beans soak, you can use some canned black beans and then still follow the recipe that I'm gonna show you once these beans get boiling. So let's give them a rinse and let's get them on the stove, because the sooner they boil, the sooner we can eat. Okay, let's get these beans boiling. We put that quarter of the green bell pepper in here to infuse just a hint of flavor. Okay, now we got the beans boiling. They're in the pot of water with some salt and 1/4 of this bell pepper. So what are we gonna do with the rest of the bell pepper? What I like to do is cut it up into different sizes and different portions, put it into a Ziploc bag and toss it in the freezer. Because a lot of recipes that you're going to make or that you're going to use don't call for a whole bell pepper, because bell peppers are a little bitter. So too much bell pepper in anything can add a little bit of bitterness to your recipe. So I like to portion it off and take it out of the freezer as I need it. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then we're gonna prepare the rest of our sofrito. So we're gonna chop up some garlic and we're gonna chop up some onion while the beans are boiling, so we can add those to it in a little bit. Okay, our beans have a beautiful, robust boiling going on right now. So it's time to prepare the sofrito. So we are gonna take 1 whole yellow onion, and I'm gonna use about 3 cloves of garlic, and we're gonna dice it up really fine and then saute it in some olive oil with a little bit of salt. Now, if you've been following me along, you know I will never cut an onion on camera, because even after all these years of cooking, I am still super sensitive to the smell and the tearing that onions cause. So I'm gonna get this done off camera and I'll join you back in a second. Okay, the onion is chopped and our garlic is chopped. I ended up chopping about 4 cloves of garlic and that 1 whole onion. Now, typically a sofrito or saute, that some people call it saute in Latin and Spanish, and even in Italian it's sofrito. It's usually a sofrito is the holy trinity of flavors for your food: the green pepper, the garlic, and the onion. But in this recipe, the way my grandmother taught me to do it, was putting that piece of green pepper in the water as the beans boil to develop some of that flavor, but we're gonna remove that piece of bell pepper once it's done its job, and we're gonna add just the onions and garlic. But before we add it to the pot of beans, we are going to saute it in some olive oil with a little bit of salt. Then we'll add it to the beans. We'll add the rest of our seasonings, which is the oregano, the bay leaf, and some salt and pepper. And then as the beans are nice and tender and the gravy is starting to thicken, that's when we're gonna add my Abuela's secret ingredient, which is that red wine vinegar. So let's go ahead and get to the stove, get this sofrito going, and add it to the beans because they're starting to become tender now as they've been boiling for a little while. So, dale, vamos. Let's get this sofrito sizzling. We're using the Costa Rica everyday olive oil and a little bit of sea salt. We want to get these nice and translucent so we can add them to the boiling beans. You can see there's a nice robust boil going there. We're getting that garlic and onion that has been sauteed right into the mix. We're going to give that a good stir. This is really going to start to bring all the flavors together. I just love this aroma that's in the air right now. Let's go ahead and add those bay leaves. These give a little hint of flavor and just kind of warm everything up. I'm using this salt and pepper blend. I got this from my sister-in-law as a holiday gift. It's a great little set that she gave me, so I'm gonna add a little bit of that. And then of course, some oregano. I love this branch oregano. I picked it up at a Greek store in Tarpon Springs. If you saw one of my Tarpon Springs video, you saw when I purchased it. It stays fresher longer. The aroma is amazing. The flavor is amazing, but you just need a little hint of it in these black beans. We're gonna give that a good stir, and we are gonna let it cook for probably about another 30 to 45 minutes until the beans start to become a little bit more tender. Okay, dale, our beans should be coming along nicely. They've been cooking for a while. They should be nice and tender. When I get over to the pot, I'm gonna show you a couple tricks, and they should be about ready for that final ingredient and taste test. Meanwhile, what you might want to consider is what type of rice you're going to serve it with. So traditionally, it's always black beans and white rice. So that's a great, simple option. Go for it. You can have just the beans in a bowl with a little bit of diced raw onion on top and maybe a few sprigs of cilantro. I don't care for cilantro, but a lot of people do, so that's totally up to you. Another great trick is Vigo instant yellow rice. I know it's instant, but let me tell you, this is actually great. It's great for a weeknight. You've got the big pot of beans going, you're saving them in the fridge. You want a quick and delicious, true Cuban meal right in your own kitchen. A pack of Vigo yellow rice is going to save you some time, and it's gonna be so rico. All right, let's go check on those beans, see how they're coming, and let's make our final adjustments. Dale, come on, let's check on these beans and see how they're going. Look at that, got a nice boil going. I wish you could smell what I'm smelling right now. Another trick that my grandmother taught me was to get that sauce nice and thick. She would start smashing some of the beans around the side of the pot every time she gave it a little stir, and that made that juice, or that gravy if you want to call it, that's in the beans a little thicker and a little bit richer. And once we got everything going and the beans are starting to get tender, it's time to go ahead and remove the bell pepper. I also like to remove the bay leaf. I remember my grandmother used to leave it in there. Sometimes my mother does too. And whoever got the bay leaf in their serving of food had good luck. You know, that was the little running joke in our family. So, but yeah, definitely you don't want somebody to bite into a bay leaf or a big chunk of that bell pepper. So let's go ahead and remove it. And now we are ready to add that red wine vinegar. We're going to add about 2 tablespoons to this size pot, which is that whole, bag of beans. And this is just going to perk the flavors up. So good, so yummy. Time to give it a taste test to make sure it doesn't need any more salt or any more pepper or anything else. We want to make sure these beans are absolutely riquísimo. Let's give it a taste. So good. Man, does this bring back a flood of memories. Not only does my house smell absolutely amazing right now and smells like my Abuela's house, and like I said earlier, earlier Christmas time, I would say her and my mother both a lot of times did the cheap method by using the canned beans and then adding their own sofrito and sazon and flavor and vinegar and all that. But I know when it came to the holidays, big family gatherings, and especially Christmas Eve or Nochebuena, that's when she made them the super, super traditional way. So the house smells amazing right now. You know, they say that fragrance and scents are the #1 thing to tie to memories. And to me, the smell of a sofrito, that onion, garlic, and green pepper sauteing in the air always gives me that time warp back to home. And now with the smell of the beans going, and we've added that little bit of vinegar in there, it gives that little tang into the air. It just smells so good. We're gonna let these go a few more minutes. We're gonna get one of those rices going, and then we are ready to enjoy our frijoles negros the way my abuela used to do them. All right, Dalé, thank you so much for joining me here on Don't Just Cook. Until next time. Mira, I couldn't wait until there's any rice or anything. I'm just gonna have them just like this because they're too good to wait. If you need any more information on how to make these frijoles negros or any other questions you have for me, just send me a message. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, Don't Just Cook. I'm here for you, sharing my love, my passion for my Cuban food and Cuban culture, as well as many other foods and cultures along the way. So until next time, don't just cook. See you then. So good. Just so good. Yeah, love it.